Hello my silly little geese, and welcome back to the channel. So if you read the title for this video, you might be wondering, hey Ava, Art Fight was in July. It is currently September, almost October. Why are you posting your Art Fight stuff this late? And let me tell you, there is a reason. During July, I took videos of all of the art fights that I did because I wanted to make a cute little speed paint video of all of my attacks. The only problem is for the audio. When I record audio for these videos, I usually rent out microphones from my school. And since this was during the summer, I did not have access to the microphones I usually use because I was an hour away from my campus. So my workaround was I recorded on my phone, and I thought that that would be fine, and I could use the audio files from that. But that turned out to not be the case, because every time I tried to upload my files to my computer, it was taking super long, or when they finally loaded, they were corrupted, and I couldn't use them in any editing software. So here we are, a little bit late to the party, but I was still very excited to record this video. I was very proud of what I was able to produce during July this year. During July, I was very busy trying to do as many art fight attacks as I possibly could. I had previously taken part in art fight last year, and that was my first year participating. My sister was actually a part of it, and she convinced me to join, and I fell in love with it so much, so I had to do it again this year. The only thing I didn't like about participating last year was I felt like I didn't do as well as I wanted to, I guess. I was really disappointed with the amount of attacks I was able to do, and at that time I was just learning how to do digital art and translating my traditional style to a digital format. So a lot of the art pieces that I ended up coming up with, I wasn't super proud of. And don't get me wrong, they were still okay, just I knew that I could do better. And it also doesn't help that when I was doing my attacks last year, I was doing them on a very tiny phone screen because that was all I had access to for digital attacks. But this year, I have a whole drawing tablet set up. So I have an actual stylus to use instead of my finger. So I have a lot more precision, and I also have a lot more experience with digital software now. So going into Art Fight this year, with my new confidence in my art form, I wanted to do a few self-imposed rules, just to make sure that I was using the art fight experience as a learning experience for me and my art style as well. So before the event started, I made a little chart for myself to follow throughout the month. I laid out the different goals I had for each week of Art Fight, just so I had a good guideline of what aspect of my art I wanted to be focusing on for a particular week. The focuses of each week were things that I feel like my art needed to improve on in some way or another. As you can see, week 1 I focused on lighting and color, week 2 on composition, week 3 on expressive poses and expressions, and the final 2 weeks were more just for funsies. I could just do whatever I felt like. I knew that I wanted to do some kind of animation or animation meme, so that was my 2 weeks to kind of get that out. Now that I've had so much time away from Art Fight, because I've had to wait so long to post this video, I've had a lot more time to analyze the works that I was able to produce during this time, and I really feel like following this schedule really helped my creative process throughout the month. It kept me a lot more focused and gave me specific things to focus on. So I felt like what I was able to produce during the month was a lot more polished, and I was just generally a lot more proud of it in the end. But with all of that said, that finally brings us to the speed paints. Before Art Fight even started, I knew that I wanted to do some kind of little speed paint overview of all the attacks that I did during the month, because I just thought it would be a very fun little video to put out where it doesn't have to be very structured. It can just be a little thing where I come on here and I tell you guys about all my silly little drawings that I made. So with all that said, this video is not going to be very structured. I have a few bullet points that I want to hit for each art piece that I did. But other than that, it's going to be very off the cuff and very train of thought oriented, if that makes any sense. But I am super excited to show you guys all the things that I did. So strap in. grab a drawing tablet, a sketchbook, maybe a snack, I don't know, whatever you feel like it. I'm assuming this video is going to be very long because I did a lot more attacks this year than I thought I was going to. And I don't know how long I'm going to ramble on about them, so just get comfy. And without further ado, let's get into it. Something I didn't mention in the intro of the video was that this year I wanted to focus on doing attacks for friends or for designs that I already picked out. So this character is actually one of my friend's characters. Her name is Tasha, and when I was looking through their characters to draw, she definitely caught my eye right away because, I mean, look at her. She's so cute. I want to squish her. But I love her design. I really like albino creatures, and I also have like a really soft spot for animal humanoids or furries, I guess. But the split albinism that she has on her face in particular really drew me in. She has like the one white side with like the really vibrant red eye, and on the other side like the nice soft brown fur with a very also vibrant blue eye. The eyes are very, very striking to me, and I like that they're so brightly colored in contrast to the more not as vibrant like clothes and fur. But I also love like just her little horns on top, and like I love her piercings and like just her entire outfit. I really like alt styles, especially drawing them, because in my day-to-day life I definitely dress more alt leaning when I feel like it. At least I kind of alternate between like alt, like casual, and like maybe a little bit of cottagecore, if that's what you would call it. But I really do have a soft spot for alt type clothing, so that was another big reason why I wanted to draw her. So while I was drawing this character, I knew that I didn't want to go too crazy right away. This was my first like attack of the season, and I didn't want to like do a full-on art piece like with a whole body and all that good jazz. So I kept it simple by just having a headshot with her having like a cute little expression and like just waving hi, like, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to endure this whole month. But while I was drawing her, I had a lot of fun with her arm, actually, which kind of surprised me. So she has one amputated arm, so instead she has a robot arm from like the elbow down, a little bit more than the elbow. But I have trouble with anatomy sometimes, and especially like with the hand areas, just because like there's so much moving parts to it. So I wasn't really looking forward to that aspect of her design, but while I was actually drawing it, I thought it was very helpful for me because I really had to actually focus on the anatomy and how everything works together, because you can't exactly hide the robot arm behind like a piece of clothing or whatever else have you. Like you see every single joint. But it was so much fun, and that really took me by surprise. So there's that. And then I also experimented with a thinner line art style than I usually do. I would say on the most part, my lines in my art are fairly like medium sized. But I wanted to try doing thinner because I have experimented with thinner lines before and I've liked the style of it. And I really like how it turned out in this one in particular. So you guys will probably notice in future pieces that I'll be putting on here, I actually do implement the thinner line art style later down the road because I just ended up really liking it. But then yeah, for the lighting, I also didn't want to go too crazy right away. This is just basically all a warm-up to get into Art Fight. So I did a lighting setup that I was very comfortable with, a like one source, pretty soft with my like hard cell shaded shadows. And for my shadows in particular, I don't know what got me on this, but I absolutely love doing gradients to my shadows, like my cell shaded shadows. So I chose a darker blue and like a bright red. And I don't know, there's something about it that's very charming to me, and I love to put that in my like all of my art pieces. If you guys have seen my warrior cat videos, like my clan gen 1 year challenge things, I always do that type of shading for all my cat characters too, and like there's just something about it that really makes it pop, at least to me. But once I got all of that down, I threw on a fairly simple background, nothing too crazy, and there she is. My first art piece of July is now complete. Overall, I really do like how she turned out. I think this is a very strong start for me going into the month, and I really didn't give myself much time to rest after this one. I went straight into the next guy. So the next character that I decided to jump right into is Fred. He is a little worm overlord character that is also one of my friend's OCs. I I really like him. He's so silly. But this is one of my friends who doesn't really draw too often. So this is the only character that they had up on their profile, which is completely fine by me because I really fell in love with Fred. When I started to draw him, well, actually, before we go into that, he is a worm overlord, if I'm remembering correctly. And in the worm world, he is like 6 feet tall. So he's pretty intimidating. He's a big guy. But in the description for his character profile thing, like the permissions and everything, it did specifically say, don't make him sexy unless it's funny. And I saw that, and I had an immediate vision in my mind, and I knew exactly what I was going to do for him. So I got started right away. He is a like overlord character in the worm world, so he is a worm of power. So I wanted to give him this very luxurious throne to splay out on and show his man buns to the world. So I did. I will admit that it was very hard to pose him for whatever reason, and you wouldn't think that posing like a whole ass like noodle shaped little guy would be hard, but I think it was screwing with me the fact that there were no legs or arms to pose. It was just like this long body mass. So I had to play around with a pose for a while before I got to something that I was pretty proud of and like thought that would work for the piece. So I started to get to work. I caked him up. And I also gave him a beautiful little sexy face, so he can be mugging the camera while he is posed up on his throne. But I laid down the colors, I did a little bit of shading on the throne area, and for this specific one, this isn't the lighting focused week, so I wanted to do something a little bit out of my comfort zone, something I haven't really tried before. So I tried to do this little spotlight moment, and I don't know if it reads as well as I had hoped it to, since it like the spotlight actually goes pretty close to the edge of the canvas. But I want it to be a spotlight coming down on him to make it even more dramatic looking. Like he's in some kind of like musical, and like the spotlight's coming down on him like in his throne room in this very dramatic moment. Like I don't know. I wanted it to be dramatic. But then I did a few color things with the spotlight color, and I really like how vibrant it ended up coming out, and this is the final piece. Again, like with Tasha, I feel like it's a very good start to the art fight, and it's, like I said before, it's something that I don't usually do on all fronts. Like, I don't really draw a lot of non-humanoid appearing characters, well, other than cats, but it gave me a good experience like posing a character with like no arms and legs, and I also really had a fun time like doing the spotlight effect. So after I finished Fred, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do next or what character I wanted to do next, and throughout the month of Art Fight, I had been scrolling through the recent characters or doing a random character search just to see if anything popped up that looked pretty interesting to me, at least to draw. And I found this little guy. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but I believe it is pronounced Zheplneep. He is He's this cute little alien cat, and I saw his little thumbnail image. Oh, if I can find it, I'll throw it on screen. But the little thumbnail image, it just stole my heart, and I was like, oh baby, I have to draw you now. I can't just ignore this. So yeah, that's why I drew him. He's a cute little guy. So for this one in particular, I had an idea right away to do this top-down lighting setup, because he's a little alien cat, right? He probably has friends that aren't on Earth, and when they want to pick him up to like have a good time, they probably have to come up with their UFO and take him up there, you know? It makes sense. So what I wanted to do was have a top-down lighting system with the UFO bringing Zheplneep up into the spaceship. So I started with drawing him. I really like the pose I ended up with him, with his arms out and like looking up, like he's just a happy little guy. And then after I had gotten his pose down, I went back and did this pretty simple like background elements I wanted to throw in there. And for the color scheme for this particular one, I wanted to go with secondary colors. So bringing in green, some darker brown oranges, and then purple for the sky. It's a little green heavy at the end, but I still think it looks pretty okay. I did have a lot of trouble with getting the lighting the way that I wanted it to, because there's a reason that I wanted to focus on lighting for my art fight weeks. I don't really experiment a lot with lighting all the time. I get very comfortable in what I know. And what I know is not very strong light sources, and light sources that aren't like from the bottom, from the top, from extreme angles. So I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out what looked good with the lighting source. In the end, I don't know, it didn't turn out the worst, but I'm still not super proud of how this one ended up. And honestly, overall, like reflecting on all the different pieces that I made throughout the month, this is on the lower tier of what I think is successful in my art pieces of the month. And don't get me wrong, I love the little character. There's nothing wrong with Zheplneep at all. It's just the way that I decided to compose and color this particular one, I'm not super proud of. But anyway, enough of me shit-talking my own thing. I try to do like a little bit of forced perspective with the trees in the background, which I feel like kind of worked, kind of didn't. And then I finished it off with doing little background elements. But yeah, this is Zheplneep. Like I've already said, I had a lot of trouble with the lighting, but it did give me good experience on how to go about it in the future and ways to better combat the issues that I faced. So this next character was actually a revenge. If I am remembering correctly, I believe this person drew my character Olive, or it could have been Maisie. It was one of my little cat characters from my cat world, which hopefully in the future I do hope to get around to making a video about my cat characters and my cat world through like the world building, the characters, the story that I have in mind for it. They are characters that I hold very dear to my heart, and I really, really like them. So I would like to share it with you guys at some point. I just don't know when that's going to be. Anyway, let's talk about the art piece. So I wanted to do revenge for this person because I really liked that they drew my little guys. And while I was looking through their different characters, my eye stopped on one of their Kenku characters. For any of you who don't know, Kenkus are a D&D race. They are crow creatures, and they don't actually speak, but they do speak. It's confusing. So they can mimic sounds like parrots do, but they don't actually have a voice of their own. The way that they communicate is just through parroting what they have heard. So this particular character, her name is Belle, and her whole thing is that she does not have a voice, just like most Kenku characters do not. But she does have a little blade knife little thing, and its name is Friend, which also warmed my heart because I thought that was so cute. But yes, her blade is named Friend, and what Friend can do is it makes a sort of deal with Belle. I don't remember exactly how it communicates with Belle, but Friend is able to speak maybe telepathically with her. And it makes a deal where if it does what friend desires, I believe, then it will grant Belle her own voice. So that's like a big motivator for her in what she does in her story. I don't remember all of the details because it has been a while since I read all these character descriptions, but I do remember a big reason of why I chose her was because of the lore. Because, I don't know, I'm under the impression when I'm looking for characters to draw, I really like it when I find characters that have a strong story behind them. It gives me more to work with, like with gesturing and like making entire pieces with them. So those are the ones that I usually gravitate towards. So when I read through her story, I was like, oh my god, I have to draw her. She's such a little goober. And honestly, overall, I just like really like Belle's design. Like I like the fact that she has like her little mask and her dress is very, very appealing. I like that her little crystals on her shawl are so glowy, and like the little details on the dress as well on around the hem are very, very nice. Her little feather haircut, oh, it's so cute. But I had a lot of fun doing this piece in general. I wanted to do going back to what I kind of did for Tasha, because after I did Zheplneep, I was a little hesitant about pushing myself at that point because I really didn't like how the lighting came out in that one. So I wanted to do something a little bit more in my comfort zone. But once I got her all colored, I did the very simple shading, and then I had a lot of fun doing the background as well. I wanted to put a little bit of texture in there instead of just having a plain backdrop. So I played around with like this, I don't know, it's like a bristly brush thing, and I think it kind of looks like ice. I don't know why it's giving ice to me, but I feel like that kind of works with her design because she has like the glowy like rectangles hanging from her shawl, and it reminds me of icicles. So I mean, it works. And to end it, I just did like a few little rectangles, or not rectangles, a few little diamonds around her face, and there she is. This piece is another one that I really, really like the end product of, and after this one, I definitely had a lot more confidence going into my next piece. So this next character is actually my sibling's character. I know a little bit more about their lore than what is on Artfight, so I'll try to just keep it to the Artfight stuff, but other things that I know about this character will probably bleed into it. But I don't think that really matters. So this character, their name is Finn. They are an elf character, but the fun thing about them is that they actually don't have like elf powers. So in this world, elves have a variety of different abilities. I believe, I might be wrong. Amaya, if you're in the comments, please correct me. But I believe that they have different powers varying from like metalsmithing, talking to animals, like nature things, stuff along those lines. So there is like a pretty big variety. But Finn doesn't have any of that. He is magicless, which I thought was really fun, so it was a big contributor of why I wanted to draw him. And also, I just like his design. He looks like a little goober, and I love drawing little goobers. I also really liked his color palette, so it was a no-brainer for me. But one of the things that I wanted to do during my Artfight season this year in particular was do more animation-based things. For any of you who don't know, well, actually, I don't know if I've really talked about this on my YouTube channel, but I am currently in school for animation. Before I found animation in college, I was a graphic design major, and I did not really like that scene. It was a little bit too corporate, I guess, or it didn't feel like as creative as I wanted to go with my art. So I was kind of undecided for a while. I was still in the art program, but I just like didn't know exactly what direction I wanted to go at that point. But then I took an animation class last year, actually, around the same time. It was the first time that I've ever animated before. It was one of the things that I've always wanted to try, and I've always had my eye on, but I just never had gotten around to it. So taking the animation class was the perfect opportunity for me to do that. And once I took it, I just fell in love. It's genuinely so fun for me. I really like the aspects of animation that allow me to really zero in on the specific details and like understand how things move and replicating the real world, but in a more fun, interesting, and like just dynamic way. And it's just so whimsical, and the fact that you can make a world out of like anything ever, and you can make it so believable is just so fascinating to me. And now here I am. I'm going for animation. I'm a junior this year, and I love it. I love it so much. But having that little rant over, I know for this particular character, I don't have any footage for it because silly little Ava didn't think to record her animating process. I don't know why. So I'll stop rambling. I won't make you look at whatever I decide to put up on the screen for this part any longer. But this is the finished little animation. I wanted to do just a simple, like, little thing, like more as a, what are the little things? Like the little moving profile pictures. That's what I was kind of going for. But yeah, he's just a happy little guy. He wanted to smile for the camera. And that's all there really is to this one. And I know it doesn't really fall into lighting, but I just really wanted to animate. And I had already done like 4 pieces, so I gave myself a freebie just for funsies. But yeah, I really like how this guy turned out. But he was the last one that I did for my week 1, so that means we move on to week 2. So for week 2, if you don't remember, is composition. And this next character is another one that I found while scrolling through the Artfight like main page and for character tags and such. As you know, if you have watched any of my other videos, I like to draw cats. I like to draw warrior cats, because I'm a warrior cat kid, and once you're a warrior cat kid, you can never go back. You are sucked into the void forever and ever, and you can never escape. So I decided to do a warrior cat character, and this one in particular really caught my eye because I love his colors. He is like he's like kind of like a tortie, but not really. He's like a mix between like this nice blue-gray color and like the more russety orange. And the way that those complement off each other, I thought was very, very appealing. And I also love the fact that he has like his little bent ear and the different colored eyes. I couldn't say no. As soon as I saw him, I knew I had to draw him. I did struggle with his pose for a while. I don't know why. I was going for something more fluid-esque. Like I wanted him to like be in motion in this pose. And I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put the legs, but eventually I got there. And once I got there, everything else just fell in line very, very nicely. Honestly, my favorite part of the entire thing was just like doing his colors. His patterns are very, very interesting, and I like his like little blotchy little spots on his body. And I like that he has like these patches of white on his face to kind of like accentuate his face shape. And his fur was kind of fun to play around with as well, because I also didn't mention this, but he has like this cute little bobbed tail. So I wanted to make it a little bit more fluffy. And he's just so cute. He's just a cute little guy. But since this is composition week, I can't just focus on the cute little guy. I have to actually do something to kind of tie it together. So what I had in mind was just doing a fairly simple, like, square canvas little thing where I could do his pose and then kind of do, like, some filigree in the background. Since, oh my god, I never even mentioned his name. His name is Driftstar. I don't know if I mentioned this for the last character either, but the character I did for the animation, his name is Finn. Anyway, so for Driftstar, obviously he is a leader. And on his chest he already has like a little like 4-pointed star motif. So I wanted to incorporate like more stars in the background for the composition. So what I ended up doing was doing like these little square star thingies in the corners. And I did some like filigree to tie it all into like a nice frame. And then I just did like some big stars in the background, so it wasn't just a navy blue background. But yeah, this is Driftstar. He was one that I had a lot of fun with, and he was a really good warm-up to getting acquainted with the idea of composition and thinking more about the entirety of the image instead of just the character. Alright guys, so this next character, I found, oh, how long ago was it? I think it was maybe 2 weeks before Art Fight started. But I had bookmarked this character like super far in advance before Art Fight even started. But the reason that I bookmarked him so early was because I knew for a fact that I was going to draw him. Because just look at him. He is a cow alien, and I don't know why, but something like within my blood chemistry like makes me addicted to cows. Like I love cow imagery. I love like cows as animals, like even in real life. Like they're just really, really adorable. I love their stupid little faces and like their big ass eyes and like their noses and like the splotchiness. Oh my god, it's so cute. And I like the pairing of the alien aesthetic with cows. So if you make like an alien cow character, like it's basically like catnip for me. Like not catnip. I'm not a cat. What am I talking about? It's very appealing to me, and I need to draw it. So all of that to say, I knew that I wanted to draw Ziggy. Is the character's name. I wanted to draw Ziggy like as soon as I saw him, and as soon as I saw him, I also had like a perfect idea for him. I knew I wanted to do him in the composition week because he is shown in his character reference sheet to have different outfits. And immediately, for whatever reason, my brain went to, oh my god, fashion model. So that's what we did. So in my little headcanon universe, whatever, he is a fashion model for a local magazine for other alien cows. So this one was going to be the most ambitious one for composition that I was planning on doing, because I wanted it to be an entire like laid out magazine cover. So I started with the base pose for him. I wanted it to be in like his casual street clothes, and that came fairly easy to me. But the rest of it came a little bit, well, maybe not harder. It was a little bit more difficult to like plan out where I wanted certain things. So I put the title of the magazine up at the top, and I wanted to have a little box with the pajama set that he was also wearing off to the side. I was thinking like having it as like a new release, like a, oh my god, new pajama line. But that also left me with a lot of space on the bottom that I didn't know what to really fill the space with. Originally I was thinking of like putting something like clever or funny, like text-wise, like, oh my god, he likes ice cream. That's why I didn't do that though, because that's my idea of like a funny witticism. I couldn't think of anything like interesting enough to put down there like for the additional text. So I just decided to do like a little drawing of him being abducted by a UFO. So once I kind of like figured that out, it was just a matter of going back in and coloring and rendering. And once I had everything laid out, everything was rendered, lined, colored, then the struggle came with the background. Because like I said, I've never like really designed something so compositionally difficult, for lack of a better term. So it was a lot of playing around with like different colors, different patterns, different textures. I didn't know what was going to look the best. I ended up doing like this really big star in the corner that now looking at it, I wish that I should have like put something in the star, like text or like, I don't know, giving it some glitter or like something to make it stand out, because it's kind of just flat. But for the rest of the background, I just decided to do like this simple circle shading texture type thing, a few stars here and there. And this is more of like a last minute thing, but I decided to put in these like diagonal stripes with this like teal color. And I'm really glad that I did, because I feel like it adds some interest to it. It kind of directs the eye to like the big Ziggy in the left corner. But after all that was said and done, I had a finished magazine cover with Ziggy as the fashion model. And there's no contest. This is definitely my favorite piece that I came up with the entire month. I think a big reason for that is because I just love the character so much. But another reason is because I was so proud of myself for being able to do something like this, because I've never designed a magazine cover. I've never like done a big compositionally challenging piece like this really before, with so many different elements. So I think it turned out really awesome, and it's definitely one of my favorite. Well, no, it is my favorite piece from the month. But yeah, here he is. And with all that said, I'll move on to the next one. So for the next character, I decided to go back to drawing my friends' characters, since I just did 2 random people. So the next one that I chose to do is one of my friend's characters, Corpseland. And the fun thing about Corpseland is he is from a world of monsters and vegetables, weirdly enough. So they're like humanoid vegetable people and monsters. So what makes them interesting in this particular world is that they are a hybrid between 2 of the species. So they are a vegetable, but they are also a monster. I don't know exactly what their vegetable is. They kind of give orange. I probably should have asked. But then their monster part is zombie. And there was something about his art in his reference sheet that was like, he like looked so unhinged. And I immediately thought that I could have so much fun like with that unhinged energy. So I decided to do him. And one thing for this particular piece, since we are doing composition this week, I wanted to play around with the canvas size. So I decided to do more of like a wallpaper size. So it's very tall and very thin. So immediately I thought of having Corpseland with their little knife, and having a spotlight kind of cutting diagonally across it. So I got to drawing him with the knife. And also, completely random, I also really like their clothes. The little overalls and the big like sweater shirt thing was very, very fun to draw. But once Corpseland was drawn, I went back in and did the color, and then I played around with the lighting quite a bit. So this piece was kind of a hybrid between composition and lighting focus. But I ended up doing a lot with the layer modes, particularly for the light. I couldn't really exactly figure out like what I wanted the light to kind of look like or like be like, color-wise at least. So I played around a lot with that, and then once I kind of had that figured out, I also went back in and did some different lighting like around the beam of light, particularly on the body. I did some purple shadows kind of at the edges, so it kind of gave it more of a creepy looking feeling. And then to finish it off, I went back into the background and I added like some red texture. It kind of looks like blood, but it's not blood because Corpseland wouldn't hurt anybody. Am I right, guys? No, he just really likes his knife, that's all. But then, yeah, this is the piece. I am very, very proud of how it came out. I like the colors, I like the shading, and I really like the composition that I went with. So this next piece, it starts a trend, if you care to acknowledge that in the future. And that trend being, for whatever reason, this summer I had a big fascination with like fruits and desserts, like those type of aesthetics, and specifically drawing those specific type of aesthetics. So I came across these 2 characters. They're the cutest little lesbian skunks ever, and they are themed after, in my eyes, ice cream flavors. I don't know if it's actually clarified on their character profile, but one is mint chocolate chip and the other is strawberry. So I saw them and I was like, I have to draw them. They're so cute together, and it fits into like what my hyperfixation is right now so perfectly. So it was a done deal. And since I saw them and thought of ice cream flavors right away, I thought there was no better idea than to have them going on an ice cream date with each other. So that's what I did. I decided to do them from like the waist up for sure, and then like a little bit of the leg. I decided to have them sitting so they could, so the strawberry one could sit on the mint chocolate chip one's lap, because that's really, really cute. So I decided to do it that way, and I also decided to give them like opposite ice cream flavors from like what they actually are. So like the strawberry one has like mint chocolate chip because like she loves her girlfriend so much, and like the mint chocolate chip one has like the strawberry ice cream flavor because she really loves her girlfriend so much. And I really like that I did that. I thought that was really smart, and like I also made the ice cream like look really, really yummy. So by the time that the art piece was done, I wanted to eat the ice cream that I drew for them. That was a complete tangent. So sorry. Anyway, So since this is composition, I wanted to make sure that everything read fairly well, and I didn't want to go too crazy on the lighting. I want it to be more soft, more like pastel appearing, because they're very like soft, sweet characters, so I didn't want to do anything like too crazy. But once I got their poses down, I went back for color, and like I said, lighting is very soft, very cel shaded, very simple. And once I got all of that done, I went back into the background, and I also didn't want to do anything too crazy for the background. I wanted to also keep it very simple. So what I ended up doing was doing like a very, very soft gradient from a purple to like a greeny yellow, and added some like little filigree lines to kind of tie it all together. But yeah, this is the finished piece. I really, really like how this one turned out, and I think a big reason for that is just because I like the character design so much. I really like rodent creatures like skunks and possums and raccoons and such. So this was really fun for me. All right. I did not mention this before, but I'm so bad at this. The skunk characters that I just drew, their names are Clara and Francine, and they are the last characters that I did for week 2. So this means that we are moving on to week 3, which is expressive poses and expressions. So there is one character that I came across that really stuck with me, and I knew that I wanted to draw them for a very similar reason why I wanted to draw Francine and Clara. And that is because it is also dessert themed. Maybe not directly dessert themed because they are themed after a pancake, but with their whipped cream hair and chocolate toppings and the little cherry on top, it very much so gave me dessert vibes, so I had to draw them. And they're a little teddy bear. They're so cute. But another big reason why I wanted to draw them in particular is because their name is Pancake, and I actually have a cat character that I was very, 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 very obsessed with during the summer. And her name is Pancakes, so it was a sign for me. I had to draw Pancake. So for this particular piece, in Pancake's character description, it said that they really like cooking for, or not cooking, but baking for their friends, and they really like mornings. So I decided to do them holding out a platter of pancakes that they had just prepared for their friends. I tried doing some foreshortening and like to have some depth to the image, but I feel like that didn't really come across as much as I wanted it to in the end. I should have pushed the perspective more, but that's being nitpicky. I still like how this one turned out. Just something that I should have noticed in the moment and made the correction for. But once I got the pose down and I was happy with the movement of the hair and the pose with the pancake, I decided to go right in and do the coloring and shading. And once that was all complete, I tried to do something a little bit differently for the shading than I usually would. I kind of went off how I did it for Clara and Francine with their softer shading and softer shadows. And for this piece, I feel like it really fits because Pancake is more of like a sleepy, lazy, tired type character. So I feel like having the harsh shadows wouldn't really fit with their vibe. I really had a really fun time with their hair in particular. I did a lot of these like intersecting lines in the whipped cream. I think it turned out really, really pleasing, and I loved putting the sprinkles on top of their hair as well. It was very, very fun. But once they were all finished, I did a simple ombre background like I did for the last one, but it was a little too simple for my liking, so I decided to import an image of Pancake and put like a little overlay opacity thing in the background of them, and I feel like that definitely helps it look more interesting. But yeah, this is Pancake. I really, really like how this one turned out, and their design is just overall so, so cute. They were so fun to draw. So for this next piece, this was also a revenge, and I went down such a rabbit hole for these guys. It's kind of bad. So it all started with the one artist doing a piece of my character Swan Snow. She's one of my warrior cat characters, and I really, really like her. She's very unhinged, and I really like their style. So I was like, oh, let's do a revenge. This will be so fun. And as I was scrolling through their characters, I first found Strawbee. They are a cute little fox character themed after strawberries, but the fun thing is with this character in particular is that they have this shark tail coming out from their backside. Instead of having like a traditional foxtail, it's a glass shark tail. And inside of the shark tail has this drink mixture. And it almost looks like a strawberry milkshake. I might be wrong on that. But I just really liked this design choice. It's something that I would have never thought to like do a hybrid between. Doing a hybrid between like a mammal character and like a drink. And also incorporating like fish-like traits into it. So I really, really love it. And I also really like foxes. So I was like, oh my god, I have to draw her. But then I was looking in her character description and I saw that there were related characters to her. I was like, oh, interesting. Let's check her out. And then I found 3 more little mammalian creatures with like these cute little fish tails with drink themes. And I couldn't just draw one of them. Like, they were a happy little family. They have to be together. So I decided to do all 4 of them. And like I said before, like it's something that I think is so creative and so fun. It's a big reason why I love art fights so much, because you get to be exposed to other artists and their creativity and like their character designs, and it exposes you to ideas that you have never thought of before. Like, genuinely, I don't think I would have ever thought of combining like little mammal creatures with fish aspects, but also adding in like drinks or liquids, because they have one character that is a Pandasrcooll hybrid, which also is just so cute, and they're a doctor. I mean, oh my god, I couldn't. And once I found them, I had to draw them all. So figuring out how I was going to lay everything out was a little bit difficult. I had to kind of figure out how they were all going to fit in the frame and how you'd be able to see most of them and most of their details that I wanted to get into the design. So I ended up with playing off their personalities in the composition as well. Strawbee is definitely more like spunky, more playful. Another character is Fantom, I believe is his name. He is a little ferret Fanta creature. He is more shy and timid, so I thought that having Strawbee chasing them would be a really fun thing to play around with. And then Wendy is definitely more like a sophisticated little lady, and she's above those antics, so she's gonna be like off in the corner judging them the entire time. And Nishi is the Pandasrcooll, and they're a doctor, so they worry about everyone's health. So I just wanted to have them looking on in horror, like, oh my goodness gracious, someone is going to get hurt during this altercation. But then once I had all of that figured out for the scene, I drew it all in. I had a little bit of trouble doing the liquids inside of their tail. It's something that I don't really draw a lot, like liquid-wise. So I played around with different textures, different colors, and different things I could do for it. And I ended up landing on something that I thought looked pretty good. And then I did some fairly soft gradient shading, nothing too crazy. And then for the background, I didn't want to just leave it blank, so I decided to just put in an image of water in the background and did a ombre-y, like, color thing. Don't really know how to describe it, but I feel like it turned out pretty okay in the end. The background is the one thing that I wish I would have had a better idea of what I wanted to do for it, because I feel like it looks a little bit tacked on. But I really like how the poses came out, and I like that I did like the little white outline on them, so they all kind of stand out and it is very clear what they are all doing. But again, I'll just say this one last time. I love the creativity on these designs so much. They were so fun to draw, and honestly, I hope that you make more little drink creatures to the artist who made these, because they're so silly and they're so fun and they're so creative. I love them so much. But they are actually the last piece that I did for week 3. At this point in July, I was getting a lot more busy, so I didn't have as much time. But yeah, so just Pancake and all these little goobers are the guys that I did for week 3. So now we'll be moving on to week 4 and 5. So to begin week 4 and 5, that weekend I had actually gone out of town, and silly little Ava forgot to bring her drawing tablet with her. Oops. So instead of doing digital art for that weekend, I decided to do a few little traditional pieces. Very simple, very straightforward. So I'll just list off the guys that I did for that and put up a picture of them. So the first one that I did was Silverpelt. They are a warrior cat OC, and I really liked them because I like the fact that they had a name that was like the warrior cat equivalent to like a celestial body, like heaven type thing. So I thought that was really fun, and I liked how bright their eyes were in contrast to their pelt. And then I also did Dragon Tongue. I really liked him just because he was fairly simple shaped. And I also really like the rainbow aesthetic in characters, so I felt like I had to draw him. And then finally, for the last one in my sketchbook is Batter. They are just a tiny little baking kitty that I came across, and I thought they were very cute, so I just wanted to do a little drawing of them. But that concludes Ava's little traditional sketchbook art tour thing. Moving on to your regularly scheduled programming. So next up is going to be Corvis. So this character is another one of my friend's characters, and I really like skeletal character designs. They are very fun to me, and in my day-to-day, I just like to collect bones, as weird as that sounds. I really like the aesthetic of bones, and I think they're very pretty. So having an entire character that is made of bones was very appealing to me. So I decided to draw him. And since I really liked Corpseland's composition that I did for that piece, I decided to do something very similar for Corvis. So I did the wallpaper format, very thin, very tall. And I wanted him to have this cool side profile with his hat and cape, and have his cane in the background. So this one was fairly straightforward to draw. The issue that I kind of had was more so in the rendering, because I wanted to do my traditional, like, pretty hard cell shading method, but I feel like it looked a little too harsh on the bones of his face since it was such a light color. So I tried going back and, like, softening the shadows at the edges, which worked fairly well, but I feel like I should have gone back and maybe done something differently. I don't know what that thing that would have been done differently would be, but I don't know. It still looks good in the end, in my opinion, but there were improvements to be made. But as I was doing the shading and such, I also had a really good time doing the glowing effect. So for his eye, he has like this glowing ring around his eyeball. And then for the cane, I also did like a little bit of a glow. And something that I really like in this one in particular is I think I used the exact same brush that I used for Belle's background. With this very bristly, like, brush-looking thing. And I did, like, a little swirl out from his cane, and I think that it looks really cool. And I also like the little gradient that I did in the background as well. But yeah, this one was fairly simple for me. It was very fun, and it got me back into the mindset of doing digital art for the remaining weeks. So after Corvis, the next thing that I decided to do was the animation meme that I really wanted to do for this month. Going into the month, I didn't exactly have a for sure plan of what I wanted to do for it. I just knew that I wanted to do an animation meme at some point. So at this point in the month, I don't remember how I got to this or why I wanted to do this particular animation meme, but I landed on doing Headlocke to evil medicine cats because I found a few during my search, and I really like the vibe of evil medicine cats. It's not something that you really see a lot in the actual Warrior series. So having OCs with that kind of character trait, I guess, as a medicine cat is very interesting to me. So I thought doing a little animation meme of them would be very fun. Obviously I won't show the entire thing in this video, but if you'd like to check it out, it is linked up in the corner. I recommend that you check it out. I think it turned out really good, and I'm very proud of it. But yeah, I did an animation meme, guys. So the next one is another one of my friend's characters. I was torn between this particular character and a different one of theirs. I ended up going with, I think it's pronounced Aofi. I might be wrong. There's a lot of vowels in the name, and vowels kind of screw with my head. But I really liked the antlers that he had, and he was described as more of a trickster character, and I like guys that just like to cause trouble. So I thought he'd be really fun for me to draw. And since I was nearing the very end of my art fight experience, I wanted to do something a little bit more challenging, something that incorporated most of my week goals. So what I decided to do for them in particular was have them in a nightlit forest. I don't know why. I feel like their vibe as a character kind of gives off like nighttime forest energy. So I went with that, and I wanted to make the entire piece very cool and very mysterious because they also have half their face covered, and I think that having them in like this mysterious forest type vibe kind of accentuates that part of their character. So once I got their pose down and their antlers to where I was happy with them, then I began to do the background as well. I tried to do more of like a painterly type thing, not super like defined, not super crazy, just the implication of the background basically. And another thing for this piece that I tried differently than I haven't done for the entirety of art fight was doing a more textured line art and a textured rendering style. So if you look close enough, for this piece in particular, I did, I think it was like a pencil brush or something. But all of the line art and like the shading and the highlights that are on Aofi are very textured, and I really like the look of it, honestly. In my day-to-day art style, it's usually very smooth, very refined, and very like non-textured. I like it to have a crispness to it. So doing it in this style was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm glad that I went this route because, like I said, I think it looks really cool. But yeah, after all that was done, I decided to put in these like little glowy things in the background to add a little finesse, a little spice to the background. And that is it. This was like the last piece that I did a lot for, where I really like tried to incorporate everything that I was practicing over the month, and I think it's a really good note to end on. I really like how they turned out, and I think it's a good example of what I want my art to be moving forward. Following Aofi, I only did 2 other drawings, and they were very, very simple, very straightforward. I just wanted to have fun before the art fight season ended. So, first I did Mickey. They are actually a real-life cat who died, and I thought that was a very sweet thing to put them on art fight to have fan art of them. So I decided to do like a cute little silly drawing of them with these huge eyes and these bright colors. And I really like the colors that I chose for this one in particular. I think because they are technically a black cat, but I like to play around with colors instead of like doing just traditional black. Give him a little bit of color, give him a little bit of spice. But yes, he is just a silly little kitty, and the next one that I did that was my actual final piece for Art Fight was Tabas. They were a revenge as well, so I just did like another silly little cat drawing of them. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, same big eyes. I like drawing cats like as these like scrunkly little creatures. It's very, very fun for me, and it was a good wind down going off of Art Fight, just to get something out there, do something like lighthearted and something where I didn't have to entirely focus on like creating like this amazing art piece, just something to have fun with. But as I finish this one, that ends my Art Fight experience. So that concludes all the attacks that I completed in July. I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who attacked me this season. I was so honored by the amount of attacks that I got, and genuinely every single time that I went on Art Fight and I saw a new notification and I saw the attacks that I was getting, it always put a smile on my face. Like, all of you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I love seeing people relate to my little guys, my little characters, and like liking them so much enough to draw them. It's just an absolutely amazing feeling, so thank you. I'll actually be putting all of the people who attacked me, all of their art on this top screen as long as I can get them to work, because you guys did awesome. I want everyone to see your art. It's so cool. But anyway, so after taking a long time and looking back at my drawings from July, I feel like I met my goals that I set for myself very, very well, and I'm very, very proud of myself for the amount of attacks that I was able to do and the quality I was able to do. Going into Art Fight this year, I really didn't expect to make any more than like maybe 5, 7, somewhere in there, but I exceeded that by a lot, so I'm very, very proud of myself for what I did. And also, I feel like I have definitely improved on my digital art skills from the last year. Last year was definitely a lot more hesitant and a lot more not confident in my art, but this year I can definitely see how I've been improving, and it makes me very, very happy to know that I have been improving this past year, and I hope to improve even more for next year. I hope that everybody else who participated this year had a very good season. I know I did, and I hope that everyone had a similar feeling to me during this art fight season, just knowing that you're able to share such fun and interesting, cool, creative stuff with other artists is just, it's an amazing feeling. So I hope everyone else had that experience this year as well. But with all of that said, thank you so much for coming and clicking on this video, because as I said at the beginning, this is very, very late. So if you're here, thank you. Art fight was like two months ago. But thank you so much for making it this far in the video if you have. And if you have, subscribe, comment, like, all the good stuff that, like, is good for my channel or whatever. I mean, only if you want to. Thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully catch you in the next one. I'm starting to get a headache, but it's okay, 'cause once I'm done, I can go to sleep. Because that's all I gotta do today. Oh. But first I need water, because Ava's a thirsty girl. Oh, yes, she is.